Today, I'm going to be showing you 5 flips that basically anybody can learn with just a little bit of practice. Just remember that even with the easiest of flips, there is still a risk of hurting yourself. You want to make sure that you have some kind of mat or pad or trampoline or something of that nature to protect yourself with before you try to do these. A lot of these you can learn them on grass, but I just do want to recommend from me to you, you probably shouldn't learn them on grass. If you really want to, you'll probably be fine, but you know, it's still safer not to. First off, we have the aerial. Now you gymnasts out there might be a little confused as to why I'm recommending the aerial, because a gymnast aerial in truth is very difficult for beginners. When I say aerial here, I'm talking specifically about the tricker aerial. The tricker aerial is a variation of the gymnast aerial where you go on an axis rather than going straight over. So yeah, if you look at the cartwheels between gymnastics and tricking, the tricking cartwheel is actually pretty much at an angle, whereas the gymnastics cartwheel focuses on going straight over. Now the aerial is still a flip, and it's actually pretty easy because it's just a progression of the butterfly kick. If you don't know the butterfly kick, I made a video where I talked about how to do it, so you can go check that out. To do a tricker aerial, you're gonna swing your chest down, you're gonna swing towards your dominant side while throwing both of your arms up, and you're gonna kick up your back leg first, then you're gonna kick up your dominant leg. You wanna try to keep both of your legs straight as you possibly can during this. You're gonna start by doing this while being at an angle something like that, 180 degrees towards the ground, but gradually you're gonna progress until you're at a higher angle where you can actually do the flip. The best part about this flip is that the odds of you hurting yourself are really low because you can bring your legs right down as soon as you're gonna hit the ground. You never really truly go over your head. Next up, we have the Webster. The Webster is a variation of the front flip where you go off of one leg, so you may be wondering, like, how is that supposed to be easier than front flip? Why would you put that on an easy list? And that's because you're going to be using your other leg to give you momentum during the flip. You're going to start by standing just on your dominant leg, then you're going to kick up your non-dominant leg, and you're going to swing it till it's at about a 45-degree angle with the ground. Ideally, you want to get your non-dominant leg as high up behind you as you can because this is going to give you more momentum. But for most people, 45 degrees is going to be perfectly fine. Then once you're at that 45-degree angle, you're going to bring your chest down, you're going to throw both of your arms down, and you're going to tuck your legs together to make yourself as small as possible because that makes it easier to go over during a flip. So yeah, once you've done this, if you're like most people, you're just going to flip over and you're going to land flat on your ass, and it's going to hurt like crazy. Unless you have a mat, of course. The thing is, now you've done the scariest part, so you're just going to want to keep on practicing this, preferably with a mat, until eventually you can land on your feet. All right, next up we have side flip. This is probably my favorite flip ever, and that's because you never technically have to go over your head to do it. You're mostly going over your back. It's also known as the barrel roll. So when you do a side flip, you're gonna run up into the flip, and you're gonna turn so that your dominant side is facing where you were previously running. Then you're gonna throw up your dominant arm and then throw it down, and you're gonna throw up your back arm as well at the same time, so you can generate as much momentum as you can. As you're doing this, when you jump off the ground, you're gonna grab both of your knees and tuck them in as tight as you can, once again, so you can get the most flip as possible. I do recommend doing this on either a trampoline or on a pad, just because a lot of people aren't used to that motion of going over their sides, so you might end up accidentally doing a front flip and landing flat on your ass. If you do it correctly, you are gonna end up flipping over your back instead, so it's gonna be a lot safer. So while this is the least dangerous, it will a lot of the time take the most time to learn because it's a very uncomfortable motion for people who haven't done a side flip before. To be honest, there's kind of nothing like it. You can progress to this by practicing rolling over your back on a table or something like that. But yeah, other than that, there's not too much you can do. Next up, we have the cheat gainer. This one's actually looks really cool, and a lot of high-level people still do these in their lines. Similar to the Webster, the cheat gainer is actually a one-legged version of a backflip. But a lot of people find it easier than the backflip for two reasons. One is that you use one of your legs to swing and give you momentum just like the Webster, so that's going to allow you to flip a lot easier. But the second reason, probably the more important reason, is that you don't actually have to go over your head for it to be a cheat gainer. That's why it's called a cheat gainer. You're cheating because you're not going over your head. A lot of the time, people will look at the ground the entire time they do the flip because it's a lot less scary. So to do the cheat gainer, you're going to start off with a J step, which is pretty simple. You're just going to step in the shape of a J. You're going to take one step forward and then pivot and turn and then flip. Then you're going to swing one leg up and turn like this until you land on that same leg that you swung with. Now you're going to gradually invert that same thing until you're basically going over your head. You don't actually have to go over your head, but you have to be at like that kind of like a 45-degree angle. The only bad thing about the cheat gainer is that while you're practicing the flip, you do look really stupid. That's just kind of comes with the territory, but people aren't going to be laughing at you when you can actually do it. That's all I can say. Lastly, we have the side half. This one is only easy if you already know the side flip, so make sure you go with that one first. But for other people, when they try to do a side flip, they'll end up doing a side half anyway. It's super dependent on the person. Another good thing about the side half is that it's actually a progression to another way cooler flip, which is the front half. To do a side half, you're going to set it up like a side flip, but towards the end of the side flip, you're going to twist 90 degrees to your side so that you're facing the direction you ran from. For some people, they naturally do this when they do a side flip, but for other people, it actually does take quite a bit of practice before they can actually face that way. The way to make yourself accidentally flip into that 90-degree angle is that instead of throwing your back arm up like that, you actually throw it straight up like that, because that'll force you into that backwards momentum flip. This is easily the most dangerous flip I have on here, because at one point your head actually does face the ground. But if you're comfortable with your side flip and you're learning on something like a trampoline or a pad first, it's actually not that scary at all. And most of the time when you bail out of this, you're just gonna land on your knees, which, believe me, isn't fun, but compared to some flips where you can hurt yourself a lot worse than that, it's not bad. Now, when you're learning flips, the single most important thing is your safety. So before you learn any of the flips I mentioned in this video, you have to go watch this video right here where I talk about, how to stay safe during doing flips. If you don't know that, then honestly everything here is pretty risky. So yeah, go watch that, have fun. Bye.